Commander, Cosmic Crucible and Alliance War are where most of us feel the push to widen our rosters. But building too wide can bleed your resources dry. That's why today we're focusing on only the teams that are truly safe to build.
Hard, no cash to spend, free to play till the very end.
Welcome back, Commander. This is part 2 of the September Safe to Build guide. In part 1, we covered Arena, Raids and Battleworld. Now we're shifting focus to Cosmic Crucible, Alliance War and the plug and play characters that give you real lasting value without wasting resources. Up next, we are diving straight into Cosmic Crucible, but before we do, check this out. This game is taking me back to my childhood. I grew up loving the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and now Raid Shadow Legends is partnering with Paramount to bring the most radical crossover ever. Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, April, and even Shredder all coming to the game as legendary champions you can collect and battle with. Right now you can unlock Michelangelo for free. Just log in 7 days before October 30th, and the best part is those days don't even have to be consecutive. And you can keep the chase going by playing daily to earn even more rewards, including Michelangelo's Perfect Soul, which boosts him to the next level. From there, you can fuse Donatello, summon Leonardo, Raphael, April and Shredder through limited time events, and even face Shredder in a brand new event dungeon to earn the exclusive Chronophage gear. And if you collect all 6 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle champions, you'll unlock a special bonus reward that's even better than Novato Formaggio, the 99 cheese pizza. And if you're new, download with my link or scan the QR code because you'll start with a massive bonus. The legendary Karato Fox Hunter plus epics Ugo, Vergis and Tagor as you level up. You'll also get to choose another legendary with promo codes like Monkey King, Get Alice, Tree Hugger or Desert Queen. You guys know I don't hide anything behind paywalls. All my content is free, so by downloading Raid with my QR code or the links down below, you're directly supporting me and the channel. Thank you to Polarium for sponsoring this video, and special thanks to Paramount. So what are you waiting for? Download Raid today. Now, before we get into the Cosmic Crucible teams, this safe to build graphic is what this video is all based off of. And if you want a copy of this safe to build infographic, you can get it from the Jetson Squad Discord. Link will be in the description down below. So Cosmic Crucible, this is where roster depth really matters, but it's also where building too wide can cost you. So here are the teams that are safe to build and will keep paying off for you in the long term. The first team on our Cosmic Crucible list is the Accursed. This is the newest team on the block. They are extremely powerful, but to get the most out of them, you are going to need to invest heavily in them. Think high stars, level 105, and at least gear tier 19. They're a slower team, which means if they can weather the opening barrage and survive long enough to rebalance, they become absolutely deadly. Now, they have had a recent addition to them in Azazel. However, with the current Cosmic Crucible rules, I've actually been using Azazel with members of the Hellfire Club in that mutant revive room. So we are left with the basic Accursed characters. The 2 characters you're going to want to prioritize on this team are Helverine, who is the linchpin of the team. His damage is second to none. And Satana, who is going to provide the healing that the team needs to keep them standing. Next up are the Starjammers. And honestly, this team is the apex team for Cosmic Crucible. In a turn-based game where speed is king, this team has all the tools. They stop speed stat, they stop speed bar, and when they get rolling, they are absolutely punishing. When it comes to investment, the 2 standouts are Lilandra and Havoc. Lilandra pulls double duty since she is going to be a hard requirement for that Professor Xavier saga, and Havoc is one of the best long-term investments in the game. With a blazing speed of 128 and a stun on his special, he is an incredible plug and play character and even finds a place in some arena teams as a direct counter to Professor Xavier. The Immortal X-Men are an offshoot of the Uncanny Avengers team, which makes them a really efficient build. You're only putting resources into 2 more characters over and above your raid squad, and suddenly you've got yourself an A-tier Crucible team. But with the recent addition of Rachel Summers, this team has leveled up to what I'd call an S-tier team. They're fast, they control the fight with turn bar manipulation, and they bring plenty of stuns to lock your opponents down. If you're focusing your resources, the key characters I recommend here are Jean Grey, Storm, and Rachel Summers. The Phoenix Force unfortunately see more time on defense than on offense, which means you won't always get to play with your toys as much as you would like. But don't let that fool you. They're an incredible team. And the best part is their long-term value. This team is set to keep growing over the next 3 years, which makes your resource investment here evergreen. They're well worth the resources, so go ahead and build them up all the way. Next up, we have the Illuminati. This was the last of the pre-Ares stat meta teams, but don't let that fool you. They are really, really good. The real strength of this team is going to come from Black Panther Shuri, Hank Pym, and Captain Britain. So they're worth the investment. And honestly, these are the only 3 you need to focus on. The Illuminati are also required for the Shadow King Legendary Trials. Even though that content is a little older, it's still worth considering if you're chasing that unlock. That said, because they are a pre-Ares stat team, they will eventually suffer from stat creep. So while at current they are safe to build, it's best to do with caution. Now we have the Cabal. This 3-character team is still giving value, mainly because they're required for the Old Man Logan trials if you're pushing him up to 7 stars. They are a pre-Ares stat team, but between the leader, an Iron Patriot, and their stat buffs to villain characters, they continue to offer utility beyond just their own kits. That said, their individual stats are starting to get stat crept, so while they're safe to build for the utility, you should also build them with caution. Until the announcement of the Insidious 6, the Superior 6 would not have made it onto this safe to build guide. But with the arrival of Superior Spider-Man and the Superior 6 tag that they have given him, this team has been given a new lease of life. Now, does that mean you should be building them from scratch? Well, no. But if you already have them fairly built like I do here, it might be worth putting some more resources into the team to stretch your roster further. So they're back on the list, but definitely one to build with caution. And that wraps up the Cosmic Crucible teams. These are going to give you reliable value, but as you've seen, a few of them do come with caution tags purely because of stat creep. Now let's shift gears into Alliance War, where roster depth really starts to matter. But again, we only want to focus on the teams that are safe to build. If there was a gold standard for war teams, Liberty would be the poster child. Their unique mechanics of forcing taunt onto their opponents lets them scalpel out any target, even when the enemy lineup includes a pre-taunting tank. This precision makes them the most reliable war team in the game. On top of that, their key members are currently the undisputed best choices for the global hero section of the Professor X saga. The characters to focus on in this team are Peggy Carter, Patriot, and Falcon Joaquin. The Secret Warriors are the latest war team, built from 4 reworked characters that we are all going to get up to a respectable level for 3 through the Banshee's Fury milestone. The 5th member, Phantom Rider, is the glue that holds this team together. On paper, their kit looks designed to counter Mephisto-based teams, but in practice, the stronger Mephisto squads actually take out the Secret Warriors pretty easily. So while they have potential, in reality, they feel a bit more like a mid-A to high B tier team. And although they are safe to build, keep in mind that this is an extra stretch on your resources this month, since they're an additional team to our monthly team. The Mighty Avengers are the second offshoot of the Uncanny Avengers raid team, though this time you are going to be required to build 3 additional members on top of the existing raid squad members to complete the team. They're designed to counter lower level Mephisto teams, and their standout mechanic really is the ability to steal buffs from the opponent and stripping them away at the same time. If you're focusing resources on this team, the 2 characters to really hone in on is Hercules and Falcon. These 2 are going to do the majority of the heavy lifting for the team. The Absolute A-Force are a very interesting team, but at this point they've really been reduced to just 2 core members, Kahori and Miss Marvel Classic. You'll most often see them on Alliance War defense, and Kahori is especially unique. She spawns with 200% speed bar, which means she's going to take multiple turns before your opponent even gets to reply. This team is still safe to build since they're a post-Ares stat team, but remember that war teams are meant to widen your roster, so this isn't a squad I'd recommend building from scratch unless you already have a foundation. The Undying team is finally set to come into its own this year with the release of Zombie Kestrel, which will no doubt be around Halloween. They're a strong team overall, but in practice, I often find myself splitting them up. Zombie Scarlet Witch is a fantastic plug and play. Thanks to her passive that stops speed bar, this makes her a character well worth putting your focus into. And the other standout from this team is Zombie Juggernaut. Not only is he a pre-taunting tank, but he also doubles up as the damage dealer for the team, so your investment is going to go a long way. And since this squad effectively creates 2 usable teams, they're definitely worth building. The Infestation team is primarily a war defense team. They are made up of 4 reworks and 1 new character, or at least they were a new character when they were initially released. The only reason they are back on the Safe to Build guide this month is because their stats were recently bumped up to those post-Ares stat levels, which happened alongside the release of the Insidious 6 and Scorpion, which is the trap member of this team. Their biggest problem is that they're mechanically weak. Even with the stat boost, they can still be beaten by pre-Ares stat teams that can navigate their kits. So while they're technically safe to build, this should be done with caution, especially if you're like me and you're free to play. Building a full team just for defense is often more of a resource sink than it's worth. Mercs for Money are the only pre-Ares stat war team that I would recommend investing in. And the reason is simple. It's Old Man Logan. He continues to defy stat creep and remains an absolute powerhouse. Alongside him, Daken has also emerged with huge value. Together, they make the Mercs for Money a perfect counter for any Fantastic Four MCU war defense. So if you're going to invest here, focus on Old Man Logan and Daken for maximum value, and just remember, since they are a pre-Ares stat team, approach the investment with caution. And that finishes up our Alliance War teams. As you can see, War is where rosters really start to widen. but it's also where resource management becomes critical, especially for free-to-play players. Now let's shift gears into something a little different: the plug and play characters. These are the standouts you can drop into multiple teams across multiple different game modes, and they'll always bring value to your roster. So to keep this simple, I've split this into 3 groups: the non-negotiables, the uplifters, and the honourable mentions. And the first group of plug and play characters are those I like to call the non-negotiables. These are all rewards from Dark Dimensions and Sagas, and they all carry the Mythic tag. They're some of the strongest characters in the game, and just having them in a team can completely change what you'd normally use to counter the lineup. The newest of these is Professor X, and he should be your main chase right now. This doesn't mean you ignore the others, but treat them more like side quests, picking them up as you work towards building for Professor X. Whenever possible, use the same characters you'll need to unlock him to also knock out this older content. These characters should always be kept up to date in terms of level and, to a degree, gear. Now there are 2 exceptions to this: Dormammu and Doctor Doom. With Dormammu, the only thing we really need is his Revive Once passive. That's his entire reason for being around, so you don't have to keep investing heavily in him. Doom, however, is a little different. He does need continual investment if you want to use him consistently. But right now, he is severely stat crept. Personally, I've left him until he eventually gets a rework. Next up, we've got the uplifters. They play a similar role to the non-negotiables, but they're more limited either by the game modes that they shine in or the specific opponents they counter. First up, we've got Null, the very first Battleworld boss, and the reward from that. He is a straight up counter to both Apocalypse and Mephisto thanks to his passive that prevents characters from being empowered. Then we have Quasar, the Chapter 1 legendary of the Age of Annihilus. His home mode is Alliance War, and he can elevate almost any team. I usually run him on offense with a squad of really fast characters alongside Odin to counter most Professor Xavier comps. Blastar is our Chapter 2 legendary and still being built up as we earn more yellow stars and red stars for him. At first he seemed a little underwhelming, but his recent trials really showcased what he can do. And he was terrifying. Now that he's gained red stars, I'm very interested to see how he develops. His home is Cosmic Crucible, where he takes devastating characters like Kahori and turns them up a notch. And finally, Ares. His passive is absolutely key, especially in Alliance War. Across all game modes, he stops Safeguard on spawn, which is already huge. But in War, he goes further, not only stopping Safeguard, but also copying and clearing all other positive effects on the enemy team. I generally place him on defense to create a real puzzle for my opponent to solve. All 4 of these characters are safe to build up to level 105, and I'd even recommend pushing them all the way to gear tier 20. Our last group of plug and play characters are the honourable mentions. These are all strong standalone options, or even mini teams in the case of the Annihilators. But either because they have been replaced in their main game mode, or because they're pre-Ares stat characters, they should be built with caution. Let's start with the Annihilators. While they've been pushed out of the arena meta a bit, they are still standout characters worth keeping up. Thanos Endgame will probably always have a place in the meta thanks to his Rain of Fire passive, which decays positive effects off of enemies. Gladiator is a sleeper. He is a pre-taunting tank who also stops enemies from gaining speed bar while he is above 50% health, shutting down characters like Super Skrull. With 2 additional Annihilator allies, he's also going to block Exposed and Vulnerable. That is key. Gore is blazing fast at 129 speed, and one of the few characters who can clear battlefield effects and revive once. And as he is a symbiote, he pairs beautifully with Null. Moving outside of the Annihilators, we have Kang, who is still fantastic even as a pre-Ares stat character. His offense-only passive that fills speed bar for the team is a huge advantage, and in a turn-based combat game, speed is king. Black Knight remains one of the most frustrating tanks in the game. His on-spawn defense up gives him 1000% resistance, making it nearly impossible to strip his positive effects. On top of that, his charged counter-style attack deals 30% of enemy max health. It clears barrier and immunity and applies heal block, trauma, and bleed, all unavoidable. He's definitely worth keeping up in both level and gear. Nightcrawler pairs perfectly with Professor X. In mirror matches, his passive negates one of Xavier's biggest counters, Emma Frost's speed reduction, since Nightcrawler and his allies can only be slowed by the slow condition itself. And finally, we have Black Cat. At 132 speed, with a trauma stun on her special, she can be used as an arena counter to Professor X. But as a dark promotion character, which is very old, she's hard to justify investing heavily in. Like Doom, if you don't already have her built, she's one to leave alone until she gets a rework. And that wraps up part 2 of our Safe to Build guide. You've now got a clear roadmap of where to safely put your resources without wasting them on characters that won't hold value. Well, you let me know down in the comments below which of these characters you are building currently. And if you found this guide helpful, make sure you check out part 1 of the Safe to Build guide, where we covered Arena, Raids, and Battleworld. And if you want to see how I actually afford to do all of this while staying free to play, then my Build Positively series will help you there.